Hello, good morning. Welcome to Bumper Breakfast. My name is Abiola Ismail. As we used to do it, we first of all look at the stories that make headline in the business world over the weekend before we go into what we are going to discuss today. And before I introduce my guest, let me just give you one or two stories that made the headline last week. We all understand that there has been a lot of issues concerning Nigerian power. And presently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is already working in ensuring that Nigeria will return to having good power supply. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared that despite the nation's current rate of energy supply, his administration is poised to address all the obstacles mitigating against stable electricity supply in the country. He said his administration will bring solution to the multifactional challenges across the electric power sector value chain, which will significantly relieve long-standing problems of suppressed demand and improve its readiness of peak supply for Nigerians, affirming that improved energy generation and distribution is an imperative for accelerated national growth. He was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony of the new 350 megawatt Gwangwadalada Independent Thermal Power Plant. That's with the NNPC, is in collaboration with NNPC. Now, let's have some of the excerpts of Mr. President at that event that was happened last week.
This administration is equally poised to address all power value chain challenges and reduce the power-related hardship being experienced by too many of our citizens. Taking advantage of the global declaration that gas is a transitional fuel, as well as enabling provision of the Petroleum Industry Act, we shall attract greater investments. We will in the oil and gas sector. Through such investment, we shall harness the over 200 trillion cubic feet of proven natural gas, all the reserves within our borders, to develop our national infrastructure, create millions of new jobs and opportunities, and stimulate economic growth in a rapid manner.
NNPC sees these projects as an opportunity to monetize our abundant natural gas resources by expanding access to energy to support economic growth, industrialization, and job creation across the country. To achieve this national aspiration, NNPC has invested heavily in domestic gas footprints expansion projects through the delivery of the Trans-Nigeria Gas Pipeline project, which includes the Escravos to Lagos pipeline systems, we call it ELF1 and ELF2, the OB3 gas pipeline, and the Ajaokuta-Kano AKK gas pipeline. The Gwangwadalada IPP is among NNPC's flagship power project along the AKK corridor. This is part of the 3,600 megawatt cumulative power capacity, which includes Kaduna IPP of 900 megawatts and Kano IPP of 1,350. They are all work in progress.
You're welcome back. Before I go into the next story, the business story that made a line last week, this issue of power reform, I have in the studio with me Mr. Kayode Ekundayo. He's a publisher of Energy Times and Oil and Gas magazine. Good morning, Mr. Kayode.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. We've been following the trend in the Nigerian power sector, and just last week, Mr. President promised the whole Nigeria that we should be expecting stable power supply comes December or thereabouts when this project takes off. What's your view on that project?
Yes, we really thank the President for taking up these projects. And we believe so much in him because he's just a new president, so he's certainly now to take the mantle of the leadership. So he's studying the situation and I believe that whatever he says now, Nigeria should not just reject it. They should give him that opportunity to see whether all what he's projecting will come to reality. But as per this 350 megawatt project, I'm surprised that NNPC is taking over this project.
How? Why?
Because I remember when the AKK gas pipeline was initiated, it was to be spearheaded by the partnership between Nigeria and China. And part of that rollout was that the project will construct the 350 megawatt in Koalada. I'm surprised 2 days ago when I learned that NNPC is going ahead with the project. And you remember, last year or early this year, a newspaper published that the partnership between Nigeria and China concerning this project has broken. But NNPC denied it. And now you can see now that it has actually broken. Because if it is not broken, you could have seen the Chinese company there. See, the problem I have with the Nigerian system is that we tell you a lot of lies when it comes to national project of this nature. We are always half truth, and that is why Nigeria have to trust the new coming government, at least for now. Let's see where we are going, and let's see where we are going to arrive. Because if you look at the rate at which things are done in Nigeria, you discover that truth is always scarce. I remember I'm a energy reporter, and I've been following this project, and I know what is all taking. And I believe that they said they have done almost 60%, and until when the project is completed, which we are thinking, we are praying that we completed it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that this project is being spearheaded by NNPC.
But in a situation where we have the NNPC, we have the federal government collaborating to ensure that we have this project on board, and now we have seen that, okay, the Chinese company is no more coming into this project. Do you see NNPC delivering come December?
You made the project? Yeah, I see it because they did the same thing in Maiduguri.
Okay.
IDP. I think that one was, I think it's 150 megawatt.
With NNPC?
It was delivered within the specific time dimension. So,
if NNPC can deliver it then.
With this government coming, I believe Tinubu will not allow it to go because I think it's a serious government, so it won't allow what we have been facing in the past to come to play at this period. Definitely, I believe NNPC will deliver this time.
Let's play so too. Now, to our second story for last week, we have the president of the World Bank Group, Ajay Banga, has commended and pledged support for the policies and reform of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the removal of foreign subsidies, saying he is committed to working with the administration to set Nigeria on the right path for economic growth. The World Bank president, who is on a 3-day visit to Nigeria to identify opportunities to create jobs for young people and women, address energy needs and renewable energy, and further explore the potentials for digitalizing, pledging the support of the global financial institution when he met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Aso Rock Presidential Villa. At that meeting, a lot of issues also came up, where Mr. President also extended hands of fellowship to Mr. Ajay Banga. Let's have some of the extract at that meeting.
Well, the fact is he's doing things that Nigeria needs to be able to do to correct its situation. If you don't correct the situation on fuel subsidy, you have a fiscal deficit that remains unsustainable. So he's trying to do all the right things. Now the question is, how do you navigate through the next few months so that you can set the economy on the right path for the future? As I discussed with him, Nigeria has to be an African champion. If Nigeria becomes an African champion, then we know that the African continent has a country, the largest country with the largest GDP, headed in the right direction. That's his vision, and that vision we share.
Okay, you're welcome back. Now today we have issue at hand to discuss. That is on the proposed turnaround maintenance and the assurance from Mr. President that Port Harcourt refinery will start operation by December 2023. Its feasibility is what we are trying to look at today. And just like I told you, Mr. Ekundayo is here with me to do justice to this. Now, let's start. What is the state of our refineries presently in Nigeria? Let's start.
Yes, we'll be on this rehabilitation, turnaround, maintenance of this refinery for many years. I can remember when I was a new reporter, the cub reporter with Daily Times. I remember the first story I did. Total was given the contract to rehabilitate this same Port Harcourt refinery at $132 million at that time. See, now we have not seen any visible or any tangible result from there. Every year since that time, which I know or got to know, there is no time or year that the federal government haven't allocate certain amount of money for turnaround maintenance of Port Harcourt. Not only Port Harcourt refinery, Kaduna Warri refineries. So it has been a recurrent challenges for the federal government as per the rehabilitation and maintenance of this refinery. But with a new government we have, as I said earlier, at this period, we can't doubt the credibility of the government because we have seen the seriousness of this government, and to see that the refinery come on stream by December 2023, yes, it's feasible because the contract for this refinery was awarded early last year by the past administration. So we were looking at it, and you could remember that the shifting of the even completion of this project, rehabilitation has been shifted once because it was completed in June. But the NNPC said no because of one or two things. It was shifted to December. So which I believe with the federal government. And that Port Harcourt refinery is one of the biggest refinery we have because there are two. We have one producing 60, we have another one producing 120, which is about 210. So if we have 210,000 barrels refinery per day producing Nigeria coming to the market at that period, we will definitely have something to back up what we are facing now in terms of subsidy removal, because right now the whole gamut of what we are importing is coming from international market, and unfortunately we don't have any backup. So anything that happens in the international market will definitely affect us in Nigeria. And that is what we are facing. And if anything happens, for instance in Iran or Saudi Arabia, unfortunately too, they are cutting their, they cut it last month and they are continuing to the end of the year. And if anything happens to any of these countries, I can tell you the price of what we are buying in Nigeria in terms of liter of fuel, we go to 1,000. It can reach up to 1,000. Already we are already talking about 600. So how much is remaining between now and December? And that is what some of us are afraid of, that before you deregulate, which you cannot blame the government, because all the political parties said at that time that if they enter the government, if they are going to remove subsidy. And we've been talking about this removal of this subsidy for so many years. And the only thing that is lacking is the refinery. Then the foreign exchange. Unfortunately, the government has now said, okay, let's have a single window for this. Instead of double windows where people will buy parallel market, which is a fantastic idea. But already right now it's not even helping us.
Now let's look at some of the teaching problem that our refineries are facing is lack of maintenance. And when you look at lack of maintenance, it has also affected the nation's output. Presently, what is our output? Even if we have the completion of that Port Harcourt refinery, what are we expecting?
We don't have any output.
Nothing.
The refinery is not working. So definitely
nothing is working.
Nothing is producing. Unfortunately, the modular refinery that will have been an help is not even functioning.
There was a time we talk about this modular refinery that should come up.
Yes. The modular refinery we have only 1 or 2, 3 that are producing. They can't even feed the state. Not to talk of the old state. They can't even feed Lagos alone. The one that is producing is Niger Delta, which just changed its name to Arabel. Just last Friday. They are only producing maybe, I think it's 3,000 barrels per day. They can't even feed the local government in Lagos. So I don't think the modular refinery, it's good. Modular refinery is good, but to support whatever the national production is doing, the national refinery, that will have been an help. Because I remember when the NNPC JMD was saying, even if the local refineries are working, it cannot reduce the price. I disagree totally. How can you say when local refineries are producing, it won't affect
it will?
Definitely the cost of transportation will reduce. the freight cost will reduce.
Yes.
How can you say that? The transportation from Russia to Nigeria, you don't know how much it is. They just consider Port Harcourt here, consider Warri here, consider Kaduna here. How much even transport to take to this place is cheaper? Then are you going to, Russia to bring it here? Look at Niger. I don't know whether you have it in. Look at the Niger here now. We are at risk at a lot.
At a lot because we are.
See, we are importing refined products. We are not producing. And that will have been our backup. Now, because of military, they shut down everywhere. The importation cannot take place again. People have to go to other countries to bring in this product. Definitely, it's going to have, direct, not even direct impact on what we are consuming. We don't have any refinery.
Sure.
We rely on 2019 production from in 2019 refinery they constructed, they launched, which we participated there. Mm-hmm. We are importing almost 10,000 barrels per day from there. So.
Now, in your own view now, what should be this urgent solution? Maybe we should just advise the federal government to go or to look into this direction now.
Which of the direction?
Of the refineries now, because if we are to attain December completion, what should be the next thing? Because until December, until we drop the project, okay, we have submitted the project, we have completed the project is now running, before we can say that what we are looking for, we can get it. But what should be the next thing that...
the next thing now, there is no offshore at this time. The refineries are not working.
That's import.
I think if after completion of Port Harcourt refinery, we should move to other refineries.
Good.
Let's see, do it one by one. Yeah, it's good. Finish this one, move to Warri or move to Kaduna, which is 100,000 barrels per day. Move to the other one, which is 120,000. You see, we will complete this thing. But when you did everything together and you say you awarded this thing to all of them, it's a amount of fraud. We've been doing this every year. There is no year government didn't allocate money for maintenance and turnaround of this, which is normal. But it doesn't happen. No production from these refineries. Nothing to show for it. We keep on pumping money into this system. Remember when Nasarawa state government said over 2 trillion naira was pumped into a refinery within 4 years. It was even more than that. The workers are being paid, you are doing nothing. That one was not added to it. It's only maintenance and turnaround we are talking about. So when you look at all this amount of funding, Nigerian government will have built a new refinery that will be functioning. But honestly, these Nigerian refineries, they are not old. We have 120 years refinery in the US that are functioning and they are maybe maintained. But it's only in Nigeria you see all sorts of stories coming up for people want to become billionaires suddenly, and that is how we are wasting a lot of money on this system.
So that's why I said that one of the teaching problem, or one of the major problems we have, is lack of maintenance. And if we cannot even put our house in order to ensure that we have a good maintenance culture, coming on board with these Port Harcourt refineries, I hope it will not go the same way.
See, the problem, somebody told me something, one of the former GMD of NNPC last year, he said around 1980, when these refineries were coming up, that the refineries were being maintained yearly and they were pumping money to that system. Yeah. But immediately government, Babangida came and politics was introduced to it, it became a fraudulent system that they couldn't do it again. Because government will bring in its own contractor, NNPC will bring its own expert to do it, and at the end of the day, nothing will come out of it. And that has been the main problem we have with this refinery. Can you imagine a government budgeting money to something that is not functioning, and we keep on pumping money to it every year? You see that we have wasted a lot of resources. That some people should have by now be in jail.
Okay, Mr. Kayode Ekundaya, I really appreciate your coming, and I hope by the time we call you next time to join us, and you will certainly oblige us. Okay. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll call on Kendi Adiaga, who is already standing by to give us the stock market report. Please don't go away.
Our boss was like, a decent fashion designer only gets home at midnight.
Midway.
Man like Osimhen, Papa just a chop Italian league like Oha.
These are real housewives of Abuja. Those women are fire. What does OJ say again? My relationship with money is Alhamdulillah.
No one tells a story like we do. Showmax, Africa's original streaming service.
You're welcome back. Now, I have Kende Adiaga, our capital market analyst, is going to give us the performance of stocks, how it happened last week, and what we should be expecting from our shares on the floor of the exchange for this week. Kende, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
We really appreciate God, we thank God. Last week, can you just go through the performance of the stocks on the floor of the exchange last week and what we should be expecting on our shares?
Well, let me just first say that hopefully this week the market is likely going to be on the upswing, going by some information that filtered into the market space. And of course, brokers are already waiting to do the needful in terms of pricing of the stocks. But having said that, the figures that we have last week shows that investors exchanged 2.57 billion shares worth 29.61 billion naira exchange in 37,713 deals, as against the previous week's transaction figure of 2.85 billion shares worth 37.64 billion naira done in 41,547 deals. Of course, the financial service sector continues to dominate activities in the market as a total of 1.92 billion shares were traded, valued at 16.14 billion naira, exchanged in 17,689 deals, contributing 74.60% and 55.76% to the total market transaction in the market respectively. For the conglomerate industry, investors exchanged 160.21 million shares worth 265 million naira, done in 1,811 deals, while the oil and gas industry shows 152 million shares traded worth 1.33 billion naira, done in 2,403 deals. Top trades in the market last week were that of ICO Insurance PLC, SCMB PLC, and Transnational Corporation PLC. Transaction in the three companies accounted for 636.22 million shares, valued at 1.74 billion naira, executed in 2,751 deals, contributing 24.71% and 5.86% to total market transaction in volume and value terms, respectively. Meanwhile, the market index and market capitalization last week appreciated by 0.22% to close at 65,798.08 basis points index and market capitalization of 35.48 trillion naira in that order. And of course, the market shows 42 gainers last week as against 39 gainers the previous week. 52 losers were recorded last week as against 54 losers that were recorded last week, previous week, while 61 stock prices were unchanged last week as against the 62 stock prices that were unchanged the previous week. Like I said, the market is a matter of information, and of course, on the basis of the information available to the market is likely going to go on the upswing, all things being equal, and investors will be better for it, because right now investors are working towards taking advantage of some companies that are declaring good dividends in terms of their performance, and so the likelihood of the market looking up and investors benefiting from it. That's the market report. Over to you.
Now, Kende, you talk about information. Stock market, works on information from the market watchers and all that. Now, last week, the World Bank president, Mr. Ajay Banga, visited Mr. President, talking about issues on how to help Nigeria in some areas. Now, with this information, do you see anything coming up in terms of a prospect on the stock?
Well, with that information, it's a positive information that will make our market to experience buoyancy in that order. Because when the likes of the World Bank and the likes of top economy in the world visit or speak about Nigeria economy, it's in a positive direction, and that means that the market will react to that. And of course, give or take, the market work in both ways, either up or down. So that information to some investors is a positive one, and while the same information may be negative to some investors. But on the long run, what is likely going to happen to our market is that the Nigerian market will experience positivity in terms of that information. So investors will likely want to take advantage of that information as we speak right now.
Thank you very much, Kennedy Adiaga. We hope to join you next tomorrow. We thank God. That's all we can have for you on business segments of Bumper Breakfast today. I have Stanley Polikau to give an update on sports. Remember, up Arsenal. Here we are.